Good afternoon, it's Tuesday, July 1st, 2025. Mental health is real. Seek help and the stigma on the news this afternoon. River State government yet to speak on sole administrators summon. More reactions trail Wike Fubara reconciliation. Political analyst Oshoma criticizes Governor Fubara's comments to supporters. President Tinubu approves scholarships for Caribbean students. On the foreign scene, court suspends Thai Prime Minister over leaked phone call. I'm Ifechuku Moanyele with the news. The River State government is yet to speak after the House of Representatives summoned the sole administrator, retired Vice Admiral Ibokete Ibas, over some items in the 2025 budget. During the budget defense session yesterday, the chairman of the ad hoc committee on rivers, Julius Ihombere, issued a 48-hour ultimatum to the administrator after the committee went through the 1.48 trillion naira budget as presented by the sole administrator and raised several issues. Ihombere also asked the administrator to submit the medium-term expenditure framework, MTEF, with a legal document that should precede budget presentation. Ihombere, who is the majority leader of the House, specifically queried the allocation of 24 billion naira for CCTV cameras to be installed in the state government house. Ihombere also queried the allocation of 30 billion naira for the purchase of gunboats and 23 billion naira earmarked for contingency reserves, requesting justification of the sum. The chairman said the committee also observed and questioned the allocation of state funds to existing federal projects without agreement with the federal government refunds, among others. He directed the administrator to submit the medium-term expenditure framework, MTEF, which he said is a legal document that should precede budget presentation. He also requested details of state internally generated revenue, IGR, in the last 3 months to enable the committee to know the state's financial flows so they can weigh it against the deficit in the budget in terms of financing it and carrying out some of the projects. He further demanded details of transfers to local governments. Now, earlier, the representative of the sole administrator and senior special assistant on strategy and policy, Andrew Wike, explained that the administration inherited many of the items in the budget. Wike said the 30 billion naira earmarked for gunboats is to support security agencies in their fight against insecurity on the waterways. He also said that River State is often hit by flood, insecurity, and other unforeseen natural circumstances, saying that the 23 billion naira emergency fund was to address them. On the 24 billion naira earmarked for CCTV in the state government house, Wike said the office of the governor is that of honor and there is a need to ensure modern technology security surveillance, among others. He said they will make available the additional documents required by the committee for an easy legislative process. Recall that on June 19, the sole administrator of River State proposed a fresh upward review of the state's 2025 budget, moving it from 1.48 trillion naira to 1.846 trillion naira. That's an increase of nearly 400 billion naira. But last Wednesday, the Senate passed the 2025 budget of River State, totaling 1.485 trillion naira. Now, this indicates no upward review was reflected in the approved version. In another development, the Helix Center for Civic Education initiative has sustained its call for the restoration of democracy in River State. Its coordinator, Courage Isremovo, made the call in an audio message insisting that the emergency rule was a political move and should not continue. He said it is in the interest of Rivers people that the suspended governor is returned to office, irrespective of the seeming agreement now reached between the political leaders.
The fact that our right to elect in a democracy has been violated. So, Mr. President, restore the governor of Rivers State. We will not be distracted by whatever agreement anybody is making. That is not our business. What we are interested in is the security and welfare of Rivers people. And that the right leaders lead us part-time. Because even if this governor does not do the will of the people of Rivers State, who speak against him.
In a related development, right activist Celestine Abobare says the job of the state sole administrator, retired Vice Admiral Ibokete Ibas, is over with the truce reached by warring political actors in the state. Speaking on Channels Television, Abubakar warned Abbas not to touch the River State's 2025 budget.
Those days, the two of them, these two actors, will never have any appointment on behalf of Rivers people because they are the two that have led to this, that an outsider is becoming a governor in Rivers State. Who knows how much has been taken away from our state? I mean, it shouldn't be even asking that at the expiration of the tenure of the administration. You should give us account of how much you spent of our money, because I know that you did not invest in any project. You did not carry out any project. And the recent budget that was approved, I will not want to hear that 1 kobo of that money was spent by the administrator. 1 kobo of it should not be spent by the administrator. The money belongs to all Rivers people.
Abubakar also appeals to President Bola Tinubu to immediately lift the emergency rule imposed on the state and restore Governor Fubara.
Governors should not be weaved around the feelings of two persons. But I'm happy that they have reconciled. And I was expecting Mr. President to call off the state of emergency immediately, that Saturday or yesterday. Because if you were hired to nurse a child and the child is dead, you have to go.
Well, moving on now, a professor of political sociology and governance studies, Steve Nwodo, says the reconciliation between the FCT Minister Nyesom Wike and suspended Governor Siminalayi Fubara was merely a reconciliation, not a resolution of the underlying political issues. Nwodo of the of the University of Port Harcourt spoke to correspondent Soebi Oruware.
Try to make a clear distinction between reconciliation and resolving the matter. They just say that they have reconciled. What are the terms of that reconciliation? There are underlying issues that brought about this problem in Rivers State. The issue of equity in representation, the issue of rotation of political positions in Rivers State. There are certain things that are hidden. The fear of a possible domination of Rivers State politics by one ethnic group. These are the reasons why people became more interested.
Nwodo said the reconciliation should not be seen as a private affair, but a matter of state interest.
This reconciliation without proper engagement of the citizens of Rivers State, whether they are elders or even merely canvassing for opinion, is a betrayal on both sides. And even worse, if Sim Fubara goes ahead reconciling on personal grounds without knowing that he was a governor of the people, and those of us who speak, I speak purely on public interest, and our collective interest has been jeopardized. Our collective interest, we have lost it. Rivers State is beyond them.
Professor Nwodo also warned of possible consequences for Governor Fubara's supporters, as many of them were not included in the reconciliation process.
If Sim goes ahead to reconcile with Wike without taking into consideration that a lot of people have sacrificed support for him, that a lot of people have been intimidated and frightened, and let it be such that his supporters will not eventually be humiliated. If after that, Sim will now do things without taking into consideration that people have borne some shame on his behalf, then he is not a leader.
On his part, a political analyst, Mr. Libras Oshoma, has criticized Governor Fubara over his recent public address to supporters regarding the peace deal with the FCT Minister Nyesom Wike.
But I also have watched political events, and I see that no matter how irresponsible his foot soldiers are, no politician wants to publicly throw his foot soldiers under the bus. After reconciling indoor, you also need to take your team indoor and make them understand. And then, when you come out, they say, well, all issues have been resolved. Parties have, everybody, we are back to one good family. All of that will be an arrangement reached. Just the same way, whatever arrangement that Wike and the president had with him, it's still a matter of speculation. Nobody came out outside to say, yes, he has been asked to do this. Everything is a matter of speculation.
Oshoma said he feels sorry for the governor's supporters and cautioned young politicians to be mindful of how they align themselves during political crisis.
No matter the bitterness that you think you have, never cry more than the bereaved in a political fight. Because if you do, on the day when scores will be settled, you might be thrown under the bus. Let's just assume that as a face-saving mechanism, the Siminalayi Fubara has come, and then publicly to show to his godfather doing their bidding, he has decided to tongue lash and warn his followers publicly. I also do not think that would have been a best way to go about it. If you have issues tomorrow, nobody would want to stick out their neck for you.
Now, as you may know, suspended Governor Siminalayi Fubara has dissolved his key political support groups, including the popular Simplified Movement and Simplified Elders. The move is widely seen as a strong gesture of reconciliation and reintegration into the political structure led by the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike. Confirming the development, a chieftain of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Ogbonna Nwuke, told newsmen that the disbandment of the groups is part of effort to reflect unity within the party and mend internal divisions. Wike said the decision to dissolve the camps is a symbol of the renewed commitment to peace and cohesion within the Rivers PDP family. As you may know, the Simplified Movement had become the rallying point for Fubara supporters during the height of the political crisis that rocked the state, while Wike's loyalists mobilized under the Wikematic umbrella. One of the leaders of Rivers Women Unite for Same, Mrs. Ebony Nwuke Ibe, believes the prayers of the women contributed to the reconciliation between Governor Siminalayi Fubara and the FCT Minister Nyesom Wike. Mrs. Nwuke Ibe said this while speaking with our correspondent Onyeka Chinwosu. She said what they want now is a lasting peace in the state.
I would say to you that we've always prayed for peace. Contrary to people to die. No. We've only asked that God should step in, God should wade into the situation in Rivers State.
Now, she said the decision of the governor to make peace is not a sign of weakness, but in the interest of Rivers State.
For me, we need to come together because it is full for a real River son or daughter to know that a stranger sits on our throne and our resources are not being used to develop our land. So, people may say, they're not pleased with His Excellency's stand, how he's not fighting back. Peace is priceless. There's an adage that says you stoop to conquer, not because he is weak, but the interest of Rivers State precedes our personal ambition.
Coming up next, President Tinubu approves scholarships for Caribbean students. Stay with us. Welcome back, and now the rest of the news. The federal government says from 1st August 2025, it will begin issuing stiff penalties to foreigners who have overstayed their visas. The Minister of Interior, Dr. Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo, said this in Abuja yesterday. The minister said the ministry has opened an online immigration amnesty portal to allow affected individuals to regularize their stay before the penalties take effect. Away from that, the Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities, SANU, has urged the federal government to release the remaining 2 months of withheld salaries from its members' 2024 strike. The union also criticized the consistent delay in salary payments to federal universities compared to other federal workers. These concerns were raised during SANU's 51st National Executive Council meeting at Aliko Dangote University of Science and Technology in Kano. In a communique signed by National President Mohammed Ibrahim, SANU called for immediate harmonization of salary disbursements across all federal and state institutions to promote fairness and equity. In other news, President Bola Tinubu has approved a new scholarship scheme for students from the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, OECS, to study in Nigerian universities beginning from the next academic year. Speaking at a joint press conference in Gros, President Tinubu said the program has already commenced and would be implemented under a joint committee between Nigeria and OECS member states. He also confirmed that discussions were underway on granting visa waivers to holders of diplomatic and official passports from OECS countries. And now in business, the federal government says it will distribute a total of 5 million gas cylinders to households across the country by 2020. To households across the country. Now, the Minister of Petroleum Resources, Gas, Eberibe Ebo, said this in Sokoto. In entertainment, music legend Two-Face says it is not possible for him to be sexually committed to only one woman. In sports, Fulham are plotting a summer move for Genk and Nigerian striker Tolu Arokodare, who's 24 years old, who's also being watched by Manchester United and AC Milan.
And now, we'll bring you news from around the world.
Thailand's Constitutional Court has suspended Prime Minister Pentogtan Shinawatra, who has come under mounting pressure to resign over her leaked phone conversation with former Cambodian leader Hun Sen. The clip, in which the Prime Minister called the Cambodian leader uncle and criticized the Thai military commander, sparked public anger and a petition for her dismissal, which the court is now considering. If she is dismissed, Pentogtan will be the third politician in the powerful Shinawatra clan to lose power before completing their term.
This is the news on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
On the news this afternoon, you heard River State government is yet to speak after the House of Representatives summoned the sole administrator on budget for CCTV installations. Now, more reactions are still trailing the reconciliation between Governor Fubara and the FCT Minister Nyesom Wike. Political analyst Liberty Shoma has criticized Governor Fubara over his comment to his supporters. President Tinubu has approved scholarships for Caribbean students. On the foreign scene, court has suspended Thai Prime Minister over leaked phone call. The news was edited by Onyeka Chimusu. To reach the news team, send an SMS or WhatsApp to 0808 721 7215. I'm Ifechukwu Moyali. Many thanks for listening.